Hey there, Danny here. Welcome to my ramblings. Today we're in the house. It's hot. Anyways, I want to talk to you today about the people that you talk to. Whether you know them or they're just somebody that you're passing by or whatever and you're having a chat with somewhere, it doesn't matter. Pay attention. Pay attention to what they're proud of. What are they talking about? What are they proud of that they're passionate about? Are they talking about it passionately? It's something that they know and they enjoy, because that's going to tell you a lot about their lifestyle. And if you have somebody who, when you're chatting with them, are talking about all of their partying and they're sharing stories of when they were drunk and the stupid things they did, and they talk about it, and there's a lot of excitement about it, and they're proud of it. If you're working to find your true authentic self and love yourself, that's not where you want to be. That lifestyle is very gossipy and backstabbing and stuff like that. I mean, that's partying. That's what you did in your teens and your 20s. If you're older and you have to deal with somebody bragging about that, well, you know what their lifestyle's like. You know right then and there that that's not going to fit into your lifestyle. If somebody's telling you about, say they went to college later in life and they were excited about what they went to school for, and they now have a job in it, they're going to be passionate. They're going to talk about that. Okay, so you know that this person is driven and that they can commit to something because, well, they went through college, and let me tell you, that doesn't really teach you the job. That just teaches you how to research and think. And I think if you pay attention to what people are happy and passionate and bragging about themselves, the things that that excite them, pay attention to that, because it's going to tell you a lot about their lifestyle. And if all they're talking about is work and their education, they really don't have a lot of fun in life. I mean, you want somebody who's going to be passionate about certain things, but is also going to show excitement over all kinds of different things. That's what growth is. That's somebody who has a mindset of being open-minded. They enjoy having experiences over possessions. Work is something that they're passionate about, but that work is also so they can fund the lifestyle that they want to live. And if you listen to what people brag about, what people talk about, what excites them in their lives, it'll tell you a lot about whether they'll fit into your life or not. Personally, I don't want somebody who's constantly partying. I'm not against any of it, but it's not something that I do on a regular basis. It messes with your brain cells and screws up your body, and you feel like crap the next day. Why would I want to feel like crap the next day? That makes no sense to me. Not saying that I haven't. Oh, trust me, I have. But when you start to learn to love yourself and find your true authentic self, that's not fun anymore. You want experiences more. You want to interact with people who are positive and moving forward in their lives. And the way to tell that is, what are they excited about? What gets them going? What stories are they sharing with you? Because the stories, if you really think about it, stories that we share with other people are a way of letting them know who we are and what we like. So if somebody's constantly sharing stupid things, gossiping, partying, negative type stuff, that person's not moving forward. They're not open-minded. They're not trying to find their true authentic self. They definitely do not love themselves. And you know right away that this person isn't going to fit into your life. So it's not difficult. Once you start to learn to love yourself and find your true authentic self, it's not difficult to figure out who belongs in your life and who doesn't. If they constantly, you'll start to notice that, certain people around you, people you may know, people you don't know very well, are looking, you'll start to recognize when they're looking for external validation from you. Whether that's good or bad validation, they're looking for validation from you, some sort of form. I know at that point that this person doesn't love themselves, because when you love yourself and you find your true authentic self, once you start to grow, you don't care about external validation. External validation has no control over you. It has no ability to make you think anything less of yourself, because you now know who you are. And nobody can take that from you once you have that. And you start to notice that people around you are looking for external validation. And you start to notice, when you start to find your true authentic self, start to love yourself, trust me, you look at all the times that you went through it. I mean, that's part of the process, which is probably a difficult part of the process, is really truly looking at yourself. And once you start to look at yourself and you start to grow and love yourself and find your true authentic self, once you get to this point, nobody can ever make you feel less than again, ever. And the reason that they can't is because you know who you are, because you did the hard work to find who you truly are. And once you love yourself and you've worked to find who you are and you keep growing, you can't go back down. You know what's down there. You know how far you have come and how much you had to go through to get to this point, that you never are going back there. But you realize that the things that you had to heal in yourself in order to grow and find your true authentic self and love yourself, you start to recognize these in other people that you've known a long time, people, family and friends, significant others, people that you just meet that you don't really know very well. You start to pick up on these things, and when you see these things, because you've healed them in yourself, and you've come to understand that these people aren't doing it because they're rotten or they're awful people. They're doing it because they're lost and they don't know how else to be. And getting past that is a lot of work. It's a lot of self-reflection and self-awareness, and some people just don't want to do that, and that's okay. They don't have to. But once you do find your true authentic self and you love yourself, you can't be around those people. They drain you. You don't get drugged down into their stuff anymore. You don't feel that you need their validation or anything else. You get drained because the minute that they start acting like the gossiping or bragging about things that are just so immature that or they start looking for you to validate them, you start to get this. It's almost like initially it's shock, and then it's disgust. I gotta get away from this. This is because it's gonna the negativity. Misery loves company, and negativity will play on you. Staying positive is not an easy thing to do. And to get to a point of loving yourself and finding your true authentic self required a lot of work on your part. So there's no way in hell you're going to allow these people to drag you back down. Your boundaries are going to be set quite easily because you're going to be like, nope, can't do that. Or if they're looking for external validation and you know that's what they're doing, you just don't give them what they want. And if they continue to push, I personally will literally ask them, are you looking for me to validate you and make you feel better? And I have not heard one person say yes. They have all said no. And then it's dropped. But after a while, you learn that protecting your energy is more important than anything else. And once you start to protect your energy, you naturally can just tell when somebody's trying to wreck your energy. And majority of the time, large majority of the time, most people are not. But when you see that somebody is, and here's how you can tell if you don't know somebody very well. I do delivery, so there's a lot of times where I'm standing in restaurants and I'm talking to other people who work there, or people who are waiting for their own food, or other delivery drivers, and you can tell if somebody is somebody that you want to interact with or not based off of this. If they're grumpy and something is irritating them, like the restaurant, and this happens all the time. The restaurant is slow. It's backed up. It's a busy day. They got slammed. I mean, they're not only cooking for people that are in the restaurant, they're cooking for takeout orders, and then on top of that, delivery. And majority of them do Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub, if not more. So now you're looking at that's a lot to deal with. So when they get slammed, they get slammed. And whether they're customers or they're other delivery drivers, or even employees there that are just fed up because it's so stressed out, you can tell if this person is just stressed out or if they truly just are a negative person based off of one thing. Once they start complaining and start being negative, you make a joke about it. So a lot of the times restaurants will apologize when they have to make us, oh, I'm so sorry, we're running behind, it's probably gonna, and our next question is always, how long is it gonna be about? And they're like, oh, it'll be, 10, 12 minutes. Well, if it's not worth it, then we just tell them, okay, well, we're going to throw it back out into the pool and we'll move along. They don't care because they know another driver's going to come. If it's going to be 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, maybe 8 if it's a good paying order, or it's taking me to a good area, I might wait that long. And they'll apologize. Oh, I'm so sorry. And I was looking at them like, it's not your fault. I'm like, it happens. It happens frequently. It is what it is. There's nothing that can be done about it. Don't worry about it. No big deal. Their attitude changes instantly. They don't stay negative. They don't stay apologetic. They literally change instantly. They're like, oh, okay, good. Thank God. And then I usually joke with them like, yeah, you probably get a lot of people that just aren't very happy about it. Yeah, I said, I know I used to work in restaurants years ago. I said, I get it. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. I can just text the customer and let them know, and it's no big deal. And they're like, oh my God, thank you. Or you walk in and the restaurant is out of something. So now you've got to contact the customer because from my understanding, the restaurants say that they don't have access to contact the customer. They have to go through DoorDash, which can be a pain in the butt if you're running a business, especially a restaurant. So when we arrive and they tell us something's out, I will call, but 90% of the time, if I call a customer, they don't answer their phone. One, because they're not getting my phone number when I call, it goes through DoorDash. So they get a random number that they don't recognize, and most people don't answer it. Even though they ordered delivery, I would think that they would answer it. I know that when a customer calls me, it shows up as DoorDash. So I'm not quite sure how. I'm not quite sure how why you wouldn't answer it, but they don't. And so I will call. I will leave a voicemail explaining what the situation is, and I will also tell them that they can call me back, or I'm going to also text them too. So once I hang up from that phone call, I automatically text them exactly what I just said to them in the voicemail. Some people call back, some people just text. It doesn't matter either way, honestly, whether they call or they text back. But then once you give it to the people behind the counter, they're very apologetic about it. And I always tell them, it happens more than you realize, no big deal. Now, if it's if you're standing around in a crowd of people waiting for food at a restaurant, you will see that there might be other people in there that are grumpy, and they just got a negative feeling about them, a negative energy, and they might be complaining or sighing or rolling their eyes or whatever else. I will usually roll my eyes and kind of look at them and go, you gotta love busy. You gotta love when it's slammed in here, right? So if it's a Friday night, I will say, don't you just love Friday nights? At least we make good money on Friday nights. And at that point, I will laugh. And usually that breaks the ice for the other person. They're like, yeah, that's true. If they're a decent human being, you're going to change. You're going to give them a different way to look at it. Now, if they're just a negative person all the time, that whole misery loves company thing, nothing you say or do is going to change their attitude. It's just gonna all be negative, and they may ignore you at that point because you're not misery loves company, or they try to suck you down into it. But this stuff applies. I share these stories because this is what I deal with when I'm out delivering. But I have found that with dating and with family and friends and with anybody, that all of this applies. That if they are negative, give them a different way to look at it, make a joke about it, and that if they change that negativity, they're still there, but they feel a little bit better. You'll be able to tell energetically, and at that point, that's somebody that you can further have interactions with. If they are the other, where they're just negative and they're frustrated and they just want to drag you down into their energetic level, you know that this person is somebody that can't be very close to you. Not if you're going to protect your energy. And once you learn to love yourself and find your true authentic self, it's not that you totally care about other people. Other people are very, very important. However, you know that you will not have a happy life and enjoy your life if you don't protect your energy, because you don't want those energy vampires coming and dragging you down into the pits of hell with them. All that negativity and that pessimism and all that other stuff, you don't want any of it. And you will protect your energy at any cost. It doesn't mean that you're going to be mean to anybody or that you're going to stop talking to them altogether. You might, but you just keep them at arm's length. When they start to show looking for external validation or dragging you down into that negative energy, at that point, you know, that's when you set your boundaries. And you don't even have to speak your boundaries. You literally, if somebody says, they're bitching about something, you could turn around and say, oh, well, if you know them, you could turn around and say, oh, well, isn't that good for you to save up some extra money? Or whatever it is, you can give them a different way to look at it. And it will come naturally for you once you learn to love yourself and find your true authentic self. Redirecting, because you have had to learn to get to loving yourself and finding your true authentic self. You have to learn how to change your perception, how to change the way you look at things, everything. And that's why it's a difficult process that a lot of people don't do, because that's really tough and really eye-opening to go through your life and realize the parts that you played in it and the things that you need to fix in you. But once you discover those things, then you look at the world differently. Even with negative people and people who are stuck in the lower energy, you're not mad at them, you're not hurt, you don't take anything that they say or do personal anymore. And the reason that you don't is because you know that they're not attacking you. Prior to you learning to love yourself and find your true authentic self, you thought they were attacking you. That's the part that you've got to fix in you to get to being authentic and loving yourself. You will realize that these people, they're stuck. They're not talking to you. What they're angry and manipulative and looking for external validation, what they're doing is a reflection of who they are and what they feel about themselves. Because they can't deal with who they are and what they feel about themselves. We are taught as a society that negative emotions and things like that should be suppressed. That's bullshit. If we don't address our emotions, it's like shaking a bottle of soda and expecting it not to explode when you open it. It's not going to happen. You start to realize, once you find your true authentic self and love yourself, you realize that those people are projecting who they are onto you. And when you reciprocate, when your reaction back to them is to be defensive and angry and bitter, you're protecting your negative stuff. Once you find your true authentic self and love yourself, you don't feel that need, because you know that they're not attacking you. You know that this person is attacking themselves. These are things that they don't like. We see in other people. And this is why your world, here's the biggest thing, this is why your world opens up. When you learn to find yourself and love yourself and find your true authentic self, here's why it opens up. Because once you learn that bitterness, that anger, that manipulation, that control, that external validation, all of that negative stuff, once you learn that what they're seeing in you is actually a reflection of them. Once you learn that the things that make you angry about other people are a reflection of you and something you don't like about yourself, you start paying attention to those things and you start working on those things. And once you start working on those things and go, okay, I've done this and I've done this, okay, I'm going to work on not doing it. Working on this stuff's not going to change overnight. That's why this is a process. But you get to the point where you don't see negativity in other people. You don't see yourself in other people because you're not there. You see them for who they are. So when they want to push your buttons or argue with you or anything else, you don't react back. And you don't react back because you know that they're not attacking you. You know, because you've done the work, that they're stuck. You can't change it for them. When you first start on this journey, you will think that you can. You will share all that you're learning with the people that you love when you're seeing these things, but that's not going to help. That's going to make them feel more judged. And I was 100% guilty of it too. So you really have to realize that finding your true authentic self and loving yourself is you don't see the negative in people anymore. Like, you don't see horrible things, and because you don't deal with it, you don't get to that point with them. So the minute that you see somebody is looking for external validation, you can't fall down that rabbit hole of oh my God, I've got manipulating this person had. You don't get sucked down that rabbit hole, and here's why. Because The minute that you see them looking for external validation, you know that this person has to be at arm's length. You know that you are going to get sucked into it if you react. So you put them at arm's length and you go about your business. And the reason that the world opens up and it becomes a different world is because you're not dealing with that. It's their problem, not yours. You're not here to fix them. You can only fix you. And once you realize this, that you don't get sucked into anymore. You just walk away. You don't care. And it's not that you don't care about the person. You're just not going down that road. You know what that means. You feel sorry for that person, but you know that they've got to figure it out on their own. And you interact with people that are at your level energetically because they don't bring that drama. They don't bring that stuff that keeps you at arm's length. And even the ones that don't keep you, that are happy and positive and don't bring that drama into your life, they're still going to make mistakes because we're all human. But those people are going to recognize it. They're going to apologize about it. They're going to make the effort to actually change it and not do that again to you. So there's a huge difference. And in the beginning, you go through a lot, and it's very difficult to look at yourself objectively, to be so self-aware. It's going to knock you on your ass at first. But that's why I'm doing these videos, is to try to help you get through them. And when you feel like that and you need somebody to help you refocus, to change your perspective so you can keep moving forward, that's why I leave the contact information. I will help you get to keeping going forward, because I've already gone through all of it. It was last 4.5 years is exactly what I've been doing. And during that time, my mother passed. My aunt, who was like my replacement mother after my mother passed. I had the horrific car accident. Just my world has been chaotic during all of this. But the one thing is I kept going, and I just kept believing that if I could get through it, that things would be different. And they are. I don't freak out about bad things happening. I'm like, okay, well, let's deal with this and move on. I don't pity. You don't pity yourself anymore. You don't go, oh my God, why does everything bad keep happening to me? You never say those words. Because once you find your true authentic self and you love yourself, you know that this is temporary, and you know that every time you have to come back from something, that you come back stronger, that you come back more enlightened, that you grew. And so you don't look at these obstacles and these crises as oh my God, it's the end of the world. You don't live in that anymore. It doesn't cause you, it might be a shock for a split second, but then your mind goes, okay, how am I going to deal with this? Let's figure out how to deal with it. And you just keep going. And eventually when things happen, you just deal with them. You don't react. You don't react like you would before. You're in more control of yourself, because learning to love yourself and find your true authentic self is knowing that the only person that can control the environment around you is you, based off of your reaction. They tell us that we can only control ourselves. That is true. But the part that they're missing out on sharing with everybody is that I just lost my train of thought. The part that they miss out on telling everybody is that when we learn to love ourselves and find our true authentic self, we recognize that our reaction adds more problems to the situation. So we learn to control our reactions, which then has a different impact on the people that are around when you are controlling those reactions. because people will expect you to freak out and whatever else, and you're like, okay, well, here's what the situation is, this is how I'm going to handle it, I'll figure this out later. And they're going to be like, oh my God, you have every right to be terrified. Well, you do. You still have those feelings. You're going to sit with them at some point. And if this is somebody that you know well enough, you feel free to talk to them about it and share how you feel if that's what you feel like you want to do. But you recognize that you can't control other people. You can only control you. But by controlling your reaction to anybody or anything is how you control your environment around you. And I hope that makes sense. I'll go more into it at another point. I'm gonna have to go to work here shortly. But I just wanted to fill you in on some of that stuff and share some of that information with you. Okay, anyways, guys, have a great day. Love ya.